Hey everyone, this is Andrew from Wrestling IQ 101, and if you like saving huge, then you're going to love going to collarandelbowbrand.com and using the promo code WIQ101. The savings are tremendous, you're going to love it, and I personally guarantee it. And remember, use the promo code WIQ101 every time you purchase something, and you're going to have massive money in your bank account. And make sure you follow and subscribe Wrestling IQ 101 on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Peace!
Yeah. Look, Wrestling 101, classes in session. Pay attention to the teachings, that's from Andrew and Derek. I mean, these guys making a killing with no competition. Dynamic duo better than the Hardy Boys and the Dudley Boys. Everybody make some noise, mess with them, you get destroyed. They cannot be beat, take a seat. Watch them do they thing on the MIC. Face defeat, they cannot be seen like JC. Oh my goodness, it's a killing spree.
What's up, guys? You are listening to the Wrestling IQ 101. I am Miss Jasmine.
I'm number one, Brian Johnson.
The meanest in the game, Justin Pusser.
And we are
One
Mean
Team.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another edition of Wrestling IQ 101. I'm Andrew and alongside Derek.
Yep.
And you can follow us at Wrestling IQ 101 on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And today we're sitting with Tyra Russamee. How's it going? The Exotic Panther. How's it going?
Hi. I'm calling in from Denver, Colorado. And yeah, thanks for having me for your show.
Yeah. You know, it's pretty awesome because you competed in 10 different countries. You competed pretty much exclusively in South Asia, now wrestling here in the United States as well. I mean, it's kind of crazy. How's life been for you?
A bit hectic, up and down, but at the same time exciting. So I would not trade it for the world.
Nice.
I've got my debut since December 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And around that time, I was in Southeast Asia. And then from there, I branched out to Australia, Japan, Europe, in this case, Austria. And yeah, just moving up my way towards America. Hopefully I can make a debut or work in Mexico or Canada and so forth. Or maybe make a trip back to Japan. That'll be awesome. But yeah, I don't mind sharing my observation over my travels.
Awesome.
Like in America, I noticed the culture. In the indie scene in particular, the crowd are very in your face, very engaging, which I had to adapt because in Asia, you don't need to get at people's faces, in particular Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand. Sometimes Philippines as an exception, but in India, you don't have them like the crowd coming at your face, getting at your face and jarring at you, as opposed to, you make your presence known and your posture is enough for them to be intimidated. So I noticed the slight differences in the culture and the crowd reaction and expectation. So as a traveler, I had to learn how to adapt and think on my feet. And it's always a wonderful learning experience because, not many of this you learn at training. You just either get it or you don't, or you make it or break it. So,
Sure. Yeah,
that's the best I can say.
Definitely. And you started out with your training in Singapore under Andruew Tang.
That's right.
Can you tell? Yeah, for sure. Can you tell us how was your experiences going through training in Singapore? And, with being in the U.S., what differences have you noticed in how training is done there, or if there are any differences at all?
Well, half of the Singapore Pro Wrestling is also owned by a Russian co-founder who also runs a company called IWF Russia. Mm-hmm. So their style is very much like in America.
Okay.
Where you plan your how you plan your match is very much similar to America, as opposed to, say, when I went overseas, in this case in Japan, it's a whole new world. It's everything, like every strike matters, so you cannot feign a strike. Mm-hmm. You cannot oversell. You gotta register and take it and go for, give it your all. So in Singapore, I would say the foundation is there, learning how to bump, learning how to do international spot, just like how you do in America. However, I remember Singapore is moving towards the Japanese style, so it becomes more realistic in terms of strikes and kicks and planning the match or telling the story in the match. Clearly, this is the bad guy and this is the face and so forth. Something I realized in America is that the creativity. I see a lot of very, very interesting gimmicks, interesting characters, whereas overseas, having a gimmick, it seems like not as important, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the only thing that matters is the in-ring work, and how you look. So if you look 6'5", 200 plus pounds of lean muscle, then you're good.
yeah, definitely for sure.
You talk about interesting characters. I mean, you got in the ring with Careless Whisper. I mean, how do you prepare for it? How do you prepare for somebody who maybe is
last minute?
Yeah, right, and who's portraying a different character that's already on
If
WWE
anything,
TV?
my first impression of Careless Whisper was like he was doing his version of Carmella, the character in WWE with that big $ leotard thing and the nasty hair.
Nasty.
And the mannerisms very much like Carmella, which I dig. I tried so hard to keep a straight face because, honestly speaking, I was trying so hard not to laugh. He's a wonderful friend of mine. Careless Whisper as well, outside the ring. A veteran from UK, I believe. And his forte is comedy, like slapstick comedy. So that match as my return match, I enjoyed it with him, even though, like, at the time, you may not notice, I was wearing my arm brace on my left arm.
Oh, wow.
I still did the match anyway. Just when I got clearance from the doctor, like 3 days before that match. So it was quite fun, like getting limited, but trying to make it work. Because at that time it was supposed to be James Ellsworth. Yes, I said that name, James Ellsworth. It was supposed to be him coming to China for that match with me, except at the last minute, like 1 week before the show for China, Ellsworth bailed at the last minute, and there goes $2,000 down the drain, and poor promoter and all the people involved that try to make this match happen. All the energy and all the time was wasted, because in China, what people don't realize is that all that planning is a big deal, especially getting everything legal and get the okay from the Chinese government to perform or have such a show for the public, without getting reprimanded or twist around with words and formalities. So for Ellsworth to do that, I find it the most unprofessional thing that an indie, a fellow worker in our industry could ever do. Especially with overseas bookings, because it's not like, you're next door. No.
Yeah, I know. So
it's like 20 plus hours to fly.
Yeah, for sure.
Shit like that. So, pardon my French. It's really uncool.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, Careless Whisper and I made it work. And I had a fun match. It was my comeback match because 6 months prior to that show, I was recovering from a broken arm. In this case, like literal clean cut, humorous snap.
Wow. Oh, man.
And that was for my match in America around 2017.
Yeah.
So June 2018 was my comeback match, and Careless Whisper made my comeback quite entertaining, I would say.
Definitely.
So the match is on YouTube, so you can enjoy and have a good laugh too.
Yeah. Can you tell us how was that process of just like, getting back in ring shape and, coming back from injury? Do you feel like, when you stepped in the ring, did you feel like a little more cautious, or were you just all in on it?
I would say more cautious, and it's all in your head too. And then you had to remind yourself, like, hey, you're not like you were 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And there's only so much you can do while you're injured. So at most, I tried to control my eating, but it was really difficult
Yeah, I can
because I'm a
imagine.
big time foodie.
Yeah.
So I would say that match that's on YouTube is not my best physique, not my best. However, I made it work. I did the best I could and put on a good show, made an impression. Thankfully, the crowd is, the demographics was quite nice at Harbin. Harbin, China is, I think, an industrial area, and a lot of university students are there. So the draw was like very different because it's also a bar, and then students come over and they were impressed, like, oh wow, there's actual wrestling. So that was a nice thing to be able to expose or like show to the casual viewer, especially students, you know, the younger generation. So it was something different, and I didn't mind that.
So being a big foodie, what is your favorite restaurant or favorite meal to have, like, you know, ever?
Depends, man. Like, like now I'm in America, I'm starting to cook my own meals, you know? So, like, it's kind of a fusion between Chinese and Thai cuisines. I'm not sure if everyone actually had legit Thai food out here, but I had to do it myself.
Yeah.
So that's the closest I can have to home. Like this, we call this one dish krapao. It sounds like an onomatopoeia of like beating someone up, like kapow. But but the literal word of it, yeah, when you take a bite out of it, it gives you a nice kick in the mouth too with the spice.
Nice.
So that dish definitely my favorite. Goes really well with what do you call it? Runny egg, runny sunny side up eggs.
Yeah, sunny side up. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it goes really well with that. But, you know, I realize everyone out here, or most people out here, are not used to seeing runny eggs. So it's like fully cooked, and you're like, wait, where's that runny deliciousness? Okay. But yeah, everyone's different. So
yeah. There's
I cook my own meals usually. But I also go to like local foods. Like now I'm in Denver. I try to go to like the breweries or like some of the barbecue places or like Tex-Mex or Mexican places out here for local foods that are, number one, affordable, not too expensive, and number two, delicious. So that's all that matters. So I had to adapt, for sure. I had to adapt. I cannot be picky.
We'll give you our recommendation. You have to go to the Olive Garden for some breadsticks.
Yeah, no, that's.
I had that. I had that like a month ago with a friend of mine. The meal was like, I think, $17 in total. Yeah. And we ordered like lasagna and the breadsticks and the salad, and I just plow all that down after training.
Oh my God.
there goes all the work. There goes all that work. But I tell myself, like, you know, a good 10 hours sleep and I'm good. I wake up and go to do my yoga and go to do my kickboxing and I'm good.
Yeah, that's an interesting regimen. That's pretty good.
If anything, I learned that, you know, if you have good food, just go, like, you know, you're in a good mood.
That's right.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm not going to recommend it for everybody because, I mean, essentially, most important is moderation. So I tend to either go big or, like, moderate or just, like, if I don't feel like eating a lot, I'll just go for, like, a very hearty salad. I'm good. Or hearty soup. Like broth based, then I'm good. So, yeah, moderate.
Yeah.
Lack of a better word, because I cannot survive on protein shakes. And I mean, no offense, I respect the athletes who could because they could afford to. But myself, I'm like, you know, to be self-sufficient and alternate. So yeah, that's the best I can say. I'm a foodie all time. So every once in a while, you look at my Instagram, you see a lot of my food porn.
Awesome.
For all my traveling or when I cook at home, and yeah, I get a lot of fun feedbacks.
Yeah, there's some Thai out here in Jersey, in the city I live in, and I went there and I ordered some Thai, and you know, I like spicy foods, and you know, the lady's like, oh, there's like 3 levels, I guess. She's like, oh, you want regular? Do you want like spicy or really spicy? I'm like, yeah, I want spicy. She's like, no, it's not like regular spicy. It's really, really spicy. Are you sure?
Yeah, see, even she's like telling you in case you're gonna have runny nose and tears and everything.
Yeah. So I could definitely understand the kapow part when you said, because when I had it, it was like off the charts, and I was like, this is supposed to be regular spicy.
No, for us, like, here's the funny thing about Thai culture too, and just to share with you, we really care about others people's consideration, considering like non-Thai.
Yeah.
So like when we tell them, like, even friends that come visit me in my home in Thailand, because I have a home back in Thailand, friends who come visit me, I always make sure, like, are you sure? Because, you know, you can have the baby food, which is our version of bland food, but, you know, not baby food as in puree, like Gerber baby, no.
Yeah.
So I tease my friends, or some of them who can't eat spicy food, that they had to eat baby food, which is like bland.
Yeah, give me some of that. That's what I need. Some baby food like that.
Yeah, probably baby food would suit you. I mean, not everyone can stomach it, like literally.
Like, I gotta have the mild hot wings. That's hot for me. So.
Mild hot is fine. I mean, there's some of us that are crazy enough to eat the actual chili potty. Like, we call it English name. I think that the English name is called bird's eye chili, but in the Thai language, it's pronounced prikinu, which word for word means chili, bird's mouse shit.
Oh, wow.
So I prefer the English version, which is bird's eye chili.
Yeah.
And some of us have like this really sadistic, stupid game where we just take a chili potty and like take a bite out of it and see which one of us would cry.
Yeah, no, that doesn't sound fun to me.
Yeah,
that's
and
awesome.
Then you end up going to the bathroom a lot, and your tummy's gonna hate you.
Yeah,
for like the rest of the night.
Yeah,
I can only imagine that for sure.
I'm Jewish. I can't handle that.
Oh no! So baby food for you then?
Yeah,
for
definitely
sure.
for sure.
Yeah. Oh man. So let's talk about you've also trained in Taekwondo and Muay Thai. Can you just tell us, how the discipline of those two sports has helped you transition into wrestling?
To be honest, it wasn't like finding wrestling or how I came upon wrestling was more of a mistake. Like, I stumbled on it, just so happened when I was in Singapore.
Yeah.
But prior to finding, my rekindle my childhood dream. Prior to that, I was doing kickboxing, I was doing basketball, I was doing rock climbing, I was doing Zumba, I was taking cooking classes, archery, something to keep me going, stimulated, because I'm the kind of person that gets bored. And if you work for like a company for like 10 hours, 12 hours, you just feel burnt out. So you need to feel, some kind of discovery that you're going to go, oh yeah, I could do that. See, I'm not dead.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, I also played I think middle school or high school. That's how you call it. We also played soccer, as you call it. And so I've had that foundation since then. So learning how to kick and knowing how to kick and the way to kick, that makes a difference, because some people don't realize it, that you got to be, first off, calculate how many distance, how much energy you're going to exert onto that kick, and then the aim. So make sure you're not aiming for the head. Well, if you want to, then make sure it's not too bad.
Yeah, seriously.
Not too much.
Yeah, take a little off.
But essentially, it's to give that sound, that impact bam, that will make the crowd go, oh, dear God, that looked painful. Yeah. And that's what I thrive in. So regardless of baby face or heel, that's like my trademark is my kicks, my running, well, I call it running goal kick. It looks like I'm going to shoot for the goal, but in this case, it'll be someone's back or they're behind.
Oh, nice.
But if they wanted really devastating, I go for the shoulder blades. But if the person's very sweaty, after I hit the shoulder blade, it slides up and hits them at the back of the head. So I'm like, oops. Uh-oh. Well, no one told you to get sweaty, right? It wasn't me, right? I'll just do my job. But, sorry, I'm just being a sadistic cow right now. But, shit happens.
Yeah, it does happen, hey.
I mean, yeah, to your opponents, absolutely. It's kind of...
No, I did tell them, brace, because it's going to hurt. And it's a technique that I learned as well, especially receiving strikes. Mm-hmm. I brace, because it doesn't make sense for you to be just sharing. It doesn't make sense for you to just be dorsile or limp, and then you take a hit. Because chances are the other person might be too excited, and it might be more than you think, and you do get hurt. So why not lessen the impact or the blow and brace yourself so that when you do get hit, it don't hurt that much.
Yeah,
so it's something I realize people don't do, but it's something you learn from Taekwondo and martial arts background, is that you brace yourself and go all right, the impact's going to happen, or the strike's coming, so I'm ready for it. So that's something that I realize most people out here don't do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so and it's also mental. It's also a mental thing as well, because like I know you're gonna hit me, so I'm gonna brace myself and pray that it's not gonna hurt as bad. But if you don't brace yourself, it'll fucking hurt. It'll really, really hurt.
Yeah.
So that's something I try to teach others around me, in particular, not veterans, but like people I come across, and I realize like they take an impact, like a big kick to the face, and I'm like, you didn't even bite your teeth. You could lose your teeth if you didn't brace yourself. So yeah, something I realize anyways out here, they're quite careless and they don't think ahead.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of crazy because, you know, 3 years into the game, almost 4 now, and you traveled to 10 different countries to compete. I mean, how has that been? You know, how has every city welcomed you that you've competed?
Honestly speaking, I was very fortunate that,
Sure.
you know, and this is why I tell every worker as well, is that, you know, you have the internet, you have people who network, and people know people. So if anything, put yourself out there, kick a few doors down, and shakes up a few heads. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
So that was my concept. Why should I wait around when I can just go up there and talk to them myself? I just have to present myself like how you do with a job interview. Except you don't kick doors down at job interviews. But the concept is the same. You sell yourself in this case. Hey, this is me. I am so-and-so. This is my forte. You know, let me know if you have any space in your card and so forth. I mean, it sounds simple, but essentially you just have to network.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, that's important. And thankfully, maybe because of my personality or opportunities, I just found out and I just took it. So, list of countries I've been to would be Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, India, USA, in this case Colorado, Japan, China, Austria, and New Zealand. So, as of now, 10 countries that I've done within 3 years, or going to be 4.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's really crazy.
That is
if
crazy.
I were to talk to myself back then, like maybe 2015, I'll say, no way I'll ever do that. There's no way I could do that. Fuck no.
Yeah, I hear you.
Like, you're dreaming, you're tripping, you're you know, wake up. But, you know, after 3 years or 4 years, you're like, oh crap, it's actually here.
Yeah,
Within a month, I was in Japan. The month before that, I was in Austria, and then 2 weeks before that, I was in Japan. So it was like, like surreal, long dream. I did not want to wake up from.
Nice. Which one of the countries you visit? Which one would you say you like the most? Whether it's for sightseeing purposes or even just wrestling there, which one would you pick?
Oh, that's tough.
America.
I think sightsee, I choose Austria.
Nice.
It is beautiful. Like, Vienna is beautiful. And they even have this amazing amusement park, is that what you call it? The one with roller coaster rides and bumper cars and haunted houses and things like that. I think you call it amusement park, right?
Yeah, that's what you call it, yep.
Yeah, okay. So they have this famous one from like 18 something that's like super old. But it's huge, and you can play around there until like, I think 11 at night, I think. So yeah, I remember the roller coasters and all the theme park related stuff over there, and it's like one of the oldest running ones in Vienna. And the city is beautiful. So I cannot even speak freaking German or Dutch. I couldn't speak any of it, but it's like monkey see, monkey do kind of thing. You go into the public transport, you see them click their ticket in, and you sit there and look for the signs to try and figure out which way you're going.
Yeah.
So I did that, and it's a fun self-discovery, if anything. And then you're like, an actual tourist with the locals, not tourist as in go to big landmarks and you follow like a big crowd. I just wander around by myself. So that was a very, very self-discovery, blossoming moment for me. The same with Japan. I had no idea where the hell I am, but I'll figure it out.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. You got to travel the whole entire, 10 different
It gets
countries.
lonely. It can get lonely, but at the same time, like, you just tell yourself, this is for you. And honestly, you grow as a character, as a person as well. Yeah, for sure.
One of the things I found interesting is that you have such a unique ring attire. Who inspired that?
I have 3 actually. So which one you had in mind?
The black one, the one that I was watching you in, was pretty interesting.
Oh, the black lace one.
Yeah.
With the green holster. That one is inspired by Tomb Raider and
Tomb Raider, that's pretty cool.
Gail Kim. Yeah, Gail Kim and Tomb Raider. I mixed them both together and made my version of it. And because in Singapore, when I first came out, my tagline was strong, sexy, dominant, like, Asian and Southeast Asia, because I'm the only big girl. The only so-called quote-unquote big girl. But when I came out to New Zealand, Australia, USA, I'm considered tiny, so I'm like, shites. I'm like tiny out here, but in Asia, I'm pretty big.
Yeah, that must be kind of weird, right? Considering yourself, a big woman when you're not, right?
In Asia, I am. I'm considered large.
Yeah.
But everyone's so, like, tiny, like a toothpick. Well, not everyone. Most girls are. Most girls are tiny toothpicks. But, yeah, I tend to intimidate most Asians. So I'm like, oh, well, I guess I'll be the strong, sexy, dominant one. And so I made these 3 ring gears that fit the theme of strong. In this case, the black lace with the green holster. That one was Gail Kim and Tomb Raider. The second one is Theme Sexy, which I'm only starting to wear that more recently because I'm in America. Everyone seems to like that gear. So it's the purple one with the shorts, fishnets, and a sultry red lipstick. That one is Theme Sexy. So that was more like a flirt. And I was trying to go more into, I guess, Maria Canellis, kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of going for the flirt kind of thing.
Sure.
Slash, I guess you could say Layla from back in the diva era, I guess.
Yeah.
And Theme Dominant, which is the green top and corset, looked like, came from post-apocalyptic era. So that one was definitely Resident Evil inspired and Jessica Havoc inspired. So all 3, are like different sides of me that I don't mind displaying in the ring.
Nice.
And I feel
awesome.
they're very much me.
Yeah. Now you talked about, kind of getting fit, and I read up on you, and I've seen how, you talked about how wrestling has helped you with getting fit, as well as, dealing with depression as well. Can you just tell us, what wrestling has meant to you in those regards? And, for anybody that's going through, the struggles of, getting fit or depression or, insecurities, what advice could you give to them?
I'll address it all 3. In terms of insecurity, I think people tend to overthink something that should not be overthink, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Less is more. That's definitely one.
Sure.
And keep it simple. Think ahead, think outside the box. That's true. And keep it simple, and don't be afraid to be different. Because that's something that was my selling point, is that I am different.
Absolutely.
In this case, Southeast Asia, I'm different because I'm the solid, thick girl who won't take shit. And I don't fit the typical mold of cutesy, bouncy and happy-go-lucky. No, it was more like, no, I mean serious business. I'll kick you. That was in Asia. Whereas in America, slightly different. I had to adapt because I'm not that big out here. I had to adapt and add more sass because out here people react more with the whole vibe of girl power or independent woman kind of a vibe. So I kind of work with that, as well as being curvy. It helps when you have your assets, so you might as well use it. So I did that in a very effective manner. So something different, and you don't see a lot of Asian Americans like myself doing that out here in the indie scene. So it's something I aim towards. So if anything, if anyone's going to be in this business, do your own self-study. Like, know yourself. What are you and who are you? And then what can you bring that out so you can make 110% of that part of you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Yeah. You know, there's a lot of women out there right now that are killing it, and so are some of the guys as well. Who are some of the people that you would want to get in the ring with that, you know, some of dream opponents or something like that?
Oh, wow. Like this upcoming April, I'll be in the same card with Victoria,
Nice.
who was from back in the day. So my dream match will definitely be with her. If I ever have that chance, and I'll gladly take her Widow's Peak and, like, you know, die happy. You know, she's one of them. Other people in the card as well, like Thunder Rosa. I love her work. I love her gear. I love her persona. That, you know, dream match will be her as well. Quite a big list. Nearly 3 weeks ago, Taya Valkyrie came to Denver, and I was in the same card with her. And she's amazing. Like, I was trying so hard not to be fangirl in the locker room.
Yeah.
But, you know, I had to keep a good, you know, straight composure and, like, you know, not be a fan, like, blur out, like, oh, yeah. It was so difficult, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, she's another one I would love to
She was just
have
here
a
this past
match
weekend.
with.
Yeah, that'd be great for sure. Now, also with you know, talking still on the theme of women's wrestling,
Yes.
and I believe 2017. Correct me if I'm wrong. You debuted and you wrestled in India as well.
Oh, yeah. February 2017.
Yeah.
Myself and 2 Russians.
Yeah.
Correct.
So how does it feel like, you know, when you're kind of, you know, making waves like that, when you get to wrestle in a country like India, where, you know, predominantly for years, you know, it's been where women haven't received as many opportunities, you know, as men there. How does that feel for you to be able to perform there?
It was, it's amazing. It's quite green. So the crowd, they really pop for, like, very basic, like, scoop slam, for example, because they've never really seen it.
Yeah.
Unlike in America, it's so saturated and desensitized. Fans come to the match and go, like, impress me. I already know what that is. So the difference with the expectation of the crowd and fans, that's one. And 2, the culture itself, like, to them, they've never seen, how should I say, they've never seen females wrestle because it's unheard of. And so they make fun of it until, like, myself and, like, the 2 Russians went out there and we showed them what actual wrestling is. You know, it's, like, beyond what they expected, if anything. And it also helps being, and I hate to sound rude, but in India, they're all infatuated with the fair skin.
Yeah.
So myself, I look like them. As in, like, I can pass for half Indian, half Chinese.
Yeah.
So, yeah, many of them are nice to me, but, like, they all goo-goo gaga, like, oogle eye at the 2 Russians who are, like, tall, fair-skinned, you know. But it is what it is, you know. You work with what you can, and, like, I'm a no-nonsense person. I don't need your approval kind of thing, whereas the other Russians, they, you know, their persona, they act accordingly. Like, one is a rock star and the other one is like a majestic queen spider. So, and I'm more of, like, I don't give a damn.
Yeah,
I'm gonna hurt you too. So it was, like, very interesting dynamic of the triple threat, and, like, the crowd were like, oh no, which one? So it adds more of the excitement, if anything, because they've never seen it before, and plus it's a triple threat, which is usually difficult to have. But we made it work. And yeah, definitely the crowd. It was a live crowd of between 5,000 to 7,000 at that stadium.
Nice.
It was. I still remember this day where my entrance song came on. I came out, and the crowd. You know when they do the, like, hit the railings?
Yeah.
They hit the railings and chant your name, and oh my gosh, I could hear it. Clanking, and my name, and the entire energy from all that, like, vibrating at my body when I'm coming out to the entrance. And I was like, oh wow, this is it. This is what I live for. Just a few minutes of this and I feel super, like, energized, like, you know, give Mario the freaking mushroom and he powers up kind of thing. So it feels like that.
Yeah. Oh man, that's funny.
How'd you become the Exotic Panther? You know.
The nickname, it was given to me from my debut in Japan.
Oh, wow.
Bear in mind, I didn't get to work in a pro wrestling ring per se. However, it's a different venue for me, and we call this the underground. By underground, I mean, let me clarify. Underground does not mean backyard. Okay, let me clarify that. Backyard usually means people who claim to be wrestlers but never had the foundation of a wrestling training, and they just see what's on TV and do it, and then they end up hurting themselves or other people. So that's backyarder, as far as I'm concerned. With a ring or without a ring, it doesn't matter. It's just that kind of a foundation. That's what a backyarder is. Okay? Whereas underground, it's super different. Super, super different. Essentially, it's basically, before UFC and MMA came about, underground has been around for like nearly 30 to 40 years. So if you think about those movies like back in the 80s, do you remember those movies back in the 80s? And, you got invited to a tournament, underground tournament, and you got fighters like Jean-Claude Van Damme and all that movies where, you go underground and you get into a fight and try and win. The winner gets freedom or something like that, or gets money. So imagine that kind of scenario, but not Hollywood made. Yeah, you're definitely underground. There's no ring. There's concrete, and if you're lucky, there's broken glass around.
If you're lucky.
The one I got into in Japan, it was definitely underground because it's pure shoot. So nearly everybody in that culture, they all have MMA background. They all have some kind of martial arts background, not just wrestling. So thankfully I have two basics. I can get by with those two. But if you don't have any of that background, I don't recommend it. You won't be able to take it. And it's not something you can say, hey, I want to go. It's more like you have to be invited and try out. And when I got there in Japan, I remembered the Europeans, a couple of Americans, the other majority are Japanese. Many of them are veterans from FMW and these other companies that go there just for kicks, really. And the underground scene there, the ring is so tiny. I would say it's more like less than 10 by 10. Definitely less. Oh, so maybe 8 by 8. Very tiny. And there's no ropes. It was chain.
Oh, wow.
Chain. Wow. So you can't run the rope. You cannot climb. So you're like, crap, what am I going to do? You're forced to get creative. And in this case, most of the fights matches are brawl. So shoot, strikes, kicks, submission. And the beauty of this underground culture is the fact that you don't win by pinfall. You by knockout or submission, tap out. So again, this is like the foundation or a concept before UFC came about, MMA came about, that you see now. So I got myself into this in Japan, and when I got there, I was the only girl to try out for the tournament. And the guys, they all told me, including the Japanese, they told me, okay, you may be a girl, but don't expect us to take it easy on you. You cry, you get out. And I looked at them and said, okay, let's go. That's pretty much my response to them. I'm not afraid. I didn't care if you're a 6'5", 300-pound guy. I don't care if you're a tiny capoeira, elegant, flexible dude. I'll still try and take you down.
Yeah, for sure.
So, if anything, it was an eye-opener for me to realize that this is how matches look more organic. It is shoot. And definitely, you win by submission or win by KO. Example is one of the guys, it was his debut too, including mine, and he took a headbutt, a massive headbutt to the head, and he KO'd.
Oh, man. Yeah.
On the spot. So it's like, yep. Dude, you okay? You gave him about 20 minutes before he regained consciousness, and he goes, what happened? And I went, dude, you just got a headbutt, man. Are you okay? And he's like, shite. Holy crap. I just got out.
Oh, my goodness. That's crazy.
So, if any, like I'm saying, it's not for everyone. And thankfully for me, I got to meet, like, notably, if you know Great Kabuki from Japan, I met his son, and we fought in the ring too.
Oh, nice.
Really?
So when he gave me solid forearms and like grabbed me, and I'm like, crap! I grit my teeth and took it. And then after the match, of course, I died. Other guys in the changing room were like, "Oh, Buki Jr. hit you like you're his girlfriend." And I look at them and go like, "Really?" Because it doesn't feel like it.
Oh my goodness.
It doesn't feel like it at all. And you're talking about the 6'3", 200-pound big guy
Wow.
who looks exactly like his dad. So it was really amazing to be in the same ring and work with him. You know, it was really cool. Like, I enjoy, testing myself and go like, okay, what do I do with this big dude? Shite. Let's see.
Yeah, this sounds like the movie like Bloodsport or something like that.
Pretty much, except minus the, I mean, back in the day it was worse. I heard back in the day they actually make you like wear those, I guess, wraps on your hands and like put it with some kind of glue and broken glass so you can like start a fight.
Oh shit!
I heard about those back in the day.
Wow.
Those were back in the day. I don't know about now. I hope I don't find those anywhere.
That's crazy.
But in this case, it's just pure brawl, like bar fight, basically. If you think about it, it's like a bar fight, minus the ropes.
Yeah, definitely.
Or if you're lucky, there's no ring, no chain, but you only have like a small little area to work with. So imagine taking a body slam on concrete. That would hurt.
Yeah,
it hurts. I tell you right now from experience, it hurts.
Wow.
Yeah, definitely sounds like something out of a movie for sure.
Don't envy you right now.
Yeah, then kind of headed into the movie direction. I know you're a big movie buff. If someone asks you what's the greatest movie of all time, what do you tell them?
Depending on the genre, dude.
Yeah.
It depends on the genre because I'm more of a horror person. But at the same time, I do love Marvel's, like, all their, movies. I do love, like, an old classic one from the books. If you remember Ronald Dahl, he made the story BFG and the Witches.
Yeah, I know
right?
BFG, yeah.
So I love, like that kind of storyline whereby it's so organic and original. The Witches, the one I'm looking forward to that's upcoming, like a remake of it, and they're going to put Anne Hathaway as the Grand High Witch. So that's something I look forward to. See if she's that, can step up to that plate, because Grand High Witch back then and the special effects back then was the best they could do at the time.
Yeah, for sure.
But all-time favorite movie that I can say I can watch over and over, and I'm probably sick. I probably am. Would be Gladiator and the 300, I would say. Although 300, there's a lot of like discrepancies with some of the parts, but other than that, it's fine. Overall, made just fine.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I like that one too as well.
Yeah, I can't go wrong with 300. It's a great movie for sure. The cinematography in that is perfect.
Yeah, so how...
but horror movies, I recommend, obviously, being biased, I'm from Thailand, so we are famous for horror movies. So my recommendation would be The Shutter. I think a lot of people may have seen that movie. And there's a lot of them with a Thai name, but I don't want to say it all out. So, I mean, you just have your fun and figure it out. So one of them I recommend is definitely The Shutter, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. That's I know Asia, isn't that where the new fad of Momo, isn't that where that came from?
Yeah, correct. And I'm like, wait, isn't the Momo trend like a decade ago or 5 years ago, something like that, and then suddenly coming back?
Yeah.
Even when you're playing video games, or not video games, sorry, like board game or iPad game or whatever, the thing comes up anyway.
Yeah, it's not even real. It's something that's not even like, it doesn't even exist. It's like it's a hoax.
All because the guy who made that Momo mask, he was just experimenting, the poor guy.
Yeah.
Imagine you're like, those CGI guys, sci-fi guys, or like FX makeup people just like doing their job and like create something so horrendous and, traumatic that, it becomes like a sensation.
Turns into something crazy like that, yeah. That's for sure.
I feel bad for the person, and I'll give props to the fact that it is quite traumatic. You can't get that image out of your head, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's ugly, that's for sure.
Yeah. You know, we really had a fun time talking with you, and we're really thankful that you came on. Where can people get you on social media if they want to connect with you?
Oh, yeah, you can just Google my name or find me on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. Just type up my name. So it's Tyra, Tyra. And then last name is Russamee, Russamee. So that'll be me. Thank you for having me over.
Yeah, definitely. It was an honor to have you on. We really appreciate you taking the time out, answering the questions and, just giving our fans an insight into, your travels and the journey of, your career.
Yeah. For sure. I hope I'll be seeing you guys in the East Coast eventually. I hope I can make it there. So we'll see.
Oh, we'd love to see you out here.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure.
We'll definitely would love to see you. For sure.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, and for us guys, we're Wrestling IQ 101. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Wrestling IQ 101. Make sure you click the subscribe button right below there. Check us out on YouTube, the B Plus Player Network, on iTunes, Google Play, all your streaming needs. And for this episode, we are out. You have just listened to the Wrestling IQ 101 podcast, powered by B Plus Player Radio.
One more for the good guy.